Hey guys, welcome back to JawnZone. I'm your host, Christopher Jawn, with my counterpart host, Andre Kitchens. How you doing, Andre?
Hey man, doing pretty good right now. It's actually a little bit hot outside, a little bit humid, but luckily I got the AC, and you know, as long as I'm inside, I'm always good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it's definitely probably taxing everybody's electric bill a little bit, but what are you going to do? It's humidity. Nobody likes humidity.
yeah,
Actually, I mean, there's some people that like humidity. And, I mean, now that I think about it, maybe that's why, like, West Coast players that are used to playing on the West Coast, whenever they came to the Eagles, they always seemed to just not be able to perform as well. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah,
Look at Nnamdi Asomugha. He fell off like the biggest cliff in the world. Byron Maxwell, same thing.
yeah,
I mean, so like but we'll get into that stuff.
yeah.
Well,
Because
we got an episode today. We're going to be talking about mostly the Eagles, but got a tiny bit of Sixers talk as well. So something that was really interesting. Andre was actually telling me about this. There's apparently this video game or something like that where you can pretend that you're part of a team or something and play as a
yeah,
franchise and
and and
go.
I think that video game is named after somebody famous. I think he was a player at one time, but then he became a coach. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what that video game is.
Yeah,
What do you think the name of that video game is?
it's Jerry Jones Football 2020. Is that
You
right?
know what? I think 2020. You know what? I'm gonna guess Al Davis football. Because he's the owner of the Raiders,
Hmm.
and he coached the team, but I don't remember that coach name. So I say Al Davis football 2020.
Well, you're a lot closer than I was. John Madden is the guy I'm
Okay.
talking about. So this is game which has apparently gone downhill ever since like 2012 or
Yeah.
something like that. Like apparently in the game you can't throw like a lob. All of your passes are just darts, so certain plays are just not doable, such as like a fade in the end
Yeah.
zone. So everyone is just offended though, or happy, depends who you ask, about what is called a Madden rating. What is a Madden rating, Andre?
I mean, so apparently a Madden rating is not determined by actual football analysts. So when you talk about Madden rating, it's actually determined by people in Silicon Valley who hire consultants who think, okay, how fast is this guy? How strong is this guy? And how can we really simulate this into our algorithm for our Madden video game?
Hmm.
I mean, that's at least what I hear about it. How about you, Chris?
That's actually an interesting thing that made me think of something else. Hall of Fame selections in most major sports. You always hear like, why is this guy who is great in his time and he's just been waiting on the sideline to get into the Hall of Fame, or
Yeah.
someone has some kind of vendetta about this guy, like everyone hates him, so they're not letting him in the Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
But it really shouldn't be up to people like sports writers or even analysts or things like that, in my opinion. It should be about the players. The
Yeah.
players, just the players. You let the
But
Hall of Famers choose who gets into the Hall of Fame. Pretty simple. I feel like the same thing happens with these announcers that are, overwhelmingly not players or
yeah.
people that even have good skills at analyzing football. It's just like it's like a pat on the back service to try to attach these little things to make, I guess, the common fan who has weaseled his way into the football world, not based on any NFL talent, but just by talking, to think that they're important or something.
Well, you know why I think it is like that? I think that the commentators, as far as like general public goes,
Hmm.
they have more influence than the actual analysts. And the reason why they have more influence because it's easier for them to really relate to the average person who watches football.
Hmm.
And this is not an insult to anyone's intelligence, but I just think that the average person wants to be entertained. You go through a whole entire work week. You work hard and you think about work after that. And sometimes you just want to be entertained without too much analysis. And the branch between the NFL, where it goes on, and the average person is definitely within, the commentators and sports writers. That's my personal thing.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense. I just have the opinion that like
Yeah.
that while yeah, it's kind of necessary that we have these services. Like they put too much emphasis on putting people that have nothing to do with the sport whatsoever and aren't actually impartial. You're supposed to be impartial. You're not supposed to be biased or have any formulated opinions when you're going into it. Too many people do. When
Yeah.
I feel like Hall of Fame players from sports leagues, whether it be baseball, football, whatever,
Mhm.
I don't really know how the Hall of Fame goes in baseball, but like in football and I think basketball at least, there's like it should be down to the players. Like these guys are the ones who can see past just analysts' trends, which is
Yeah.
what I call things. Like they'll be like when Chip Kelly introduced, and it wasn't even introduced by him, but when he started using like the play action or what was his system called where he would like fake it and then throw it like do you remember
Oh,
what
because like, yeah, because like, I mean, I think that a lot of things that Chip Kelly used was like called the RPO or run pass
that's it.
option.
Yeah, the run pass option. So like ever since
Yeah,
that term run pass option has come onto the like football field, everyone fell in love with that term. And now literally they call things that are just play action run pass option. But the thing
yeah,
about play action is there's no option to hand it off to the running back. It's a
yeah,
different entire play. Like you're actually trying to set up a fake. There's no like RPO and play action are something completely different. And the fact that like a lot of these analysts don't even realize that they're the
yeah,
ones deciding who gets into the Hall of Fame. Like
yeah,
you curious? Like come on.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like
Because like the run, the RPO is definitely like a recent trend in the NFL. Because like of course like a big part of quarterback's game was like the pre-snap reads, right?
yep.
But like what the RPO is pretty much it's like a post-snap read.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah. So I mean, I guess like it really takes a talented quarterback to run that, and a lot of teams don't have that. So like, if you really have a mid-range quarterback for that, you can't run that offense. But like the post-snap read allows you to see things in motion because like we got the pre-snap read. What happens with that is that all you're just seeing is a formation, right? And you're trying to really sort of predict what people are trying to do. But like with the RPO, you see the dynamics of the play and what the defense is trying to scheme against that.
Yep.
So I don't know how effective it really is, as far as like from a player play calling standpoint. Because like offensive coordinator, they're not in control doing that. The quarterback is actually in control if you do a run pass option.
Yep. So
Yeah.
like you really got to have someone who's capable of just being clutch. So that's
That's
actually why Nick Foles works so well in it. You might notice sometimes Nick Foles didn't seem like the greatest in the middle of the regular season. That's because he's the type of person who plays best when his back is against the wall. When you're
yeah,
doing the RPO, you're constantly having to think on the fly, make fast decisions.
yeah,
Now, he may not be the best at everything, but I think what a lot of fans see and why some fans wanted Nick Foles as our quarterback to stay as our quarterback is because of that. He can see things almost immediately. That reaction time to things that are thrown in his face is ridiculous.
yeah.
So,
And
yeah, what were you saying?
my bad. Yeah, I agree, man. Because like I think that you have some people who are very good at improvising, and you have some people who are good at planning. I think that for the most part, Nick Foles was not good at planning.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the reason why he was like good in the moment because he's very good at improvising,
Mm-hmm.
and that's sort of like that sort of like added a layer of like unpredictability
Yep,
to him, and I think that's the reason why the RPO worked for Nick Foles.
definitely.
Yeah,
So it remains to be seen if Carson Wentz is going to master that too. But honestly, he doesn't need to master it. He just needs to be able to pull it out for maybe like one drive a game or something like that. Like
I
or
agree.
just like we know that type of play action, like regular play action, isn't going to get it done. You need to add an extra wrinkle in there to keep the defense honest or keep them on their feet. Let's say they're like really good at blitzing or pass rush. So we talked about the Eagles and we talked about Madden. So let's put those two subjects together, Andre.
Okay.
And why are the Eagles fans happy about something called a Madden rating. What the hell is a Madden rating?
You know why? You know why I think that the Eagles fans are so happy, including myself, honestly? That's because, like, look, like, people like things that are very certain, right? They don't like a gray area, man. It's something to say, look, this is our rating compared to another team's rating. You know, like, they like seeing that we're higher than other teams. And the Madden ratings that have, as much as, like, as sports analysts might not like them, they have been a very, you know, solid predictability of success.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, you know, a lot of football fans are also fans of the video game, man. And so when we're rated as the highest team, we like that. And then that makes us, like, that actually validates our feelings about the Eagles. Mm-hmm. So I think that, you know, a lot of people, when they look at the NFL, you don't see a lot of action that's happening on the field. And what I mean by that is that when you see a pass, all right, you see the quarterback to, you know, the tight end or receiver. You know what I mean? But, like, you don't see, or, like, a lot of people don't notice, like, you know, the blocking up front. They don't notice that the moves that people are making on offense, and they can't really quantify that. But, man, what it does is that it gives you a clear picture of, like, who the viable team members are and who's doing the work. And it gives you numbers for that on a scale of 1 to 100. And a lot of people, when they look at the Madden ratings, they see, you know, they base it off of, like, what they've been taught in high school. For instance, like, if you're a player rated up 90 and above, I mean, a lot of people say, okay, look, that's a great rating. They're an A-plus player. And it's easier for people, as spectators, to really quantify what they're seeing or what they can't see on the field. And that's what I believe. But, man, how about you, man? What's your personal opinion about that?
So, I mean, just to clarify, each team and even individual players in this video game get a rating out of 100, or actually 99. So you get a number rating from, I guess, I don't even think they go below, like, 50, but the lowest team was ranked at, like, a 74 rating or something. The Eagles, on the other hand, have the highest rating in the league on Madden, at least. I mean, exactly. I personally agree. So our team got the highest rating, and we're just filled with players that have high ratings, and those two obviously go hand in hand. And it's giving some of our unsung heroes, such as, like, a Jason Kelce, like, more props. Brandon Brooks is ranked as our 5th best player. So, like, all the unreal things that Jason Kelce does, you really don't see it because you're following the ball. The ball gets snapped from him, it goes to Carson, and then he throws it to a receiver or hands it off. But you're not watching Jason Kelce hold 2 guys and then another guy blitzing around, and then he does a complete 180 or 360 spin to push this other guy to get out of the way, which would have been either a blown play or a sure sack. Like, he didn't used to have that kind of agility, speed, technique, and power early in his career. But, like, he's our 2nd highest ranked player. There was an amazing video I saw about him, and I'll probably post a link in the description to that, talking about how amazing Jason Kelce was. It's just absurd. A guy his size has that kind of speed. So giving teams their ranks, it makes us feel good about the season, especially having the best Madden team, like, in the league. So at least we're going to be going to a lot of Madden, you know, Super Bowl parades. So it seems like if maybe you guys want to invite us down when you make it to the Super Bowl, we'll be there to eat all your stuff and maybe some other stuff. But so Madden, I mean, looking at our players, we wanted to talk about maybe some people that were ranked too high or ranked too low, and we'll each give one of each for those 2 categories. For instance, someone who's ranked too low, I know a lot of people are going to say, is Carson Wentz. And I think the reason he's ranked at 82 instead of higher after having an MVP season is because people were basing him off of last year's season without taking into the context of what is actually happening. So something that was in one of those videos I've seen, what quarterbacks, or at least successful ones, do, they basically use their arm like a whip. They are facing in one direction, and then they whip their hips,
gotcha.
their legs to face wherever they're going. And then the arm follows after your legs get whipped. So you're not throwing with just your arm. That's a mistake. You're throwing with your legs because that's the strongest part of your body, you know? So that you're like getting your whole torque around and releasing the ball and it floats as opposed to like just trying to jam it with your arm strength. So like Carson dealing with, you know, a torn ACL or maybe it was an MCL. Actually, it was both things. So like, you know, he wasn't up to 100% yet. And he was overthrowing with his arm. He was overusing his shoulder, arm muscles, and things like that, which is why he ended up with a back problem, which is also why his accuracy wasn't on because he wasn't driving through. But now he might be healthy enough to do that. What were you going to add, Andre?
Yeah, I mean, so the thing I wanted to add was that, like, it's not also just like the mechanical parameters that you got to think about with Carson Wentz. You know, it's also personnel staff. I mean, for instance, like last year when he came back, he actually did pretty good stats-wise. But you can see a little things are off. Yeah. And so when he came from IR, going to training camp, Nick Foles was like working with the first team. And then on top of that, not only Nick Foles working with the first team, you also had John DeFilippo was gone. And Frank Wright was gone. Yeah. So it wasn't just the mechanics, it was also the coaching that was going for last year. And, you know, he didn't keep that consistency into the way they were coaching him. And then on top of that, he already knew that at the beginning of the year, he would not be able to start at the beginning of the year. Yeah. So he did not prepare for that. And he could not prepare for it. And because I think the reason why, you know, he had an MVP season, you know, in 2017, or it could have been, was because, like, the staff were there, the offense there, and he knew he would be the starter going into that second season. But I think that what derailed us last year was a lot of personnel left and a lot of expectations were really taken off him. Because I think Carson Wentz, like, for the most part, he's in love with the pressure, you know? I think he's one of the few players in the league that's really in love with that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that was probably a safe answer for who's underrated. Yeah. My honest answer for who is underrated is Deshaun Jackson. So if you're at home and you're able to Google Madden ratings Eagles, you might find the EA Sports website, and you can literally check and filter to only have Eagles players on the website to look at all their stats. If you do that and you go up to the speed ranking and click on that SPD button, it says SPD in blue letters. It's basically your speed rating. It ranks all the players from fastest to slowest. There's something terribly wrong with these speed ratings, and it's absurd. Okay, so let me give you an example. The highest speed players on our team all have a 93 speed. And you might find this a little odd, but let me tell you who these 5 players are. Ronald Darby, Shelton Gibson, Josh Hawkins, Deshaun Jackson, and Avonte Maddox. None of those players that I've listed are as fast as Deshaun Jackson. None of those players are as close as fast as Deshaun Jackson. This rating system for speed is just ridiculous because 2 points lower at the speed of 91 is Nelson Aguilar. That is absurd. And he actually might be my ranked highest, like overrated, because Deshaun Jackson is ranked as an 85 overall, while Nelson Aguilar is ranked as an 83 overall. What is this crap? You know what it is, man? I think that it's just like their speed on paper, man. I mean, so like that, it likes to work a lot. Like I said before, like it doesn't leave a gray area. You know, it doesn't have situational awareness. It really just rates the player's speed on paper. So, like, for instance, like, it won't rank Deshaun Jackson's speed in a close game where you got to hit a home run or you lose. You know what I mean? I'm saying, like, I think that really comes into play because, like, when you have a rating, it's more than just about things on paper. It's also about chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, like Deshaun Jackson's speed might be rated lower because, like, a lot of teams fear his speed. And so he's not going all out every play because, like, he already has that advantage of that psychological advantage of him. Whenever he, like, sprints a little bit, the safeties are on him, so he doesn't have to really go as fast as he could. Aguilar, meanwhile, what he's doing is that he's going all out.
Yeah.
He needs to do that because he still needs to prove himself in this league. I mean, because, like, a lot, like, you know, the safeties aren't going back for Aguilar. I mean, the linebackers aren't playing back for Aguilar. Aguilar is still in his 5th year. He needs to prove his speed. Jackson has already proven that. And he's already shown that he can hit a home run. And if you think that, you know, he's slowed down a little bit, you will pay for it. That's my personal opinion.
Oh, definitely. Because, like, you got to keep in mind a couple of things. One, the quarterbacks that he's had to play with the past couple of years have been terrible. So those quarterbacks, other than Jameis Winston, who was so inaccurate, weren't able to get the ball downfield that far. Like Kirk Cousins, he's not throwing 90-yard bombs every game.
No, he's not.
He doesn't have that arm strength. So, like, that takes away from his speed. Not to mention, Deshaun Jackson is someone who breaks faster than anyone in the league. He intentionally starts out his route really slow. And then when he's supposed to, he breaks clean free, so he has, like, a wide open field and the opponent isn't expecting it. Not to mention, he actually ran his 40 time on a pulled hamstring. He got a 4.3, I think it was 4.35. So, like, that's amazing on a pulled hamstring. He did that. And, Nelson Aguilar, like you said, completely great opinion in that he has to just hustle so much every single play. So now I'm thinking that's probably why he's so tired. But just to round this off, something that is, like, just to put the cherry on top, where do you think Josh Adams would rank in terms of speed rating on our team?
I think that Josh Adams, man, I think that Josh Adams, he's hungry. So, like, I would recommend in top 3 because, like, you know, I can't dismiss Mac Hollins. Yeah,
well, Josh Adams is the running back, that really slow running back that we had. He was like almost like a power runner. He never ran fast in his entire, like, career. He was good for us. Don't get me wrong, and I like the guy. He's a great runner, but he's not a burner, and he's never, like, took off and not been, you know, he's always been caught up to, basically.
Yeah.
So, like, his speed is ranked at an 89. 89. That's, like, you know, like one of the highest in our team.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't know where all these rankings come from. But that's enough about my opinion, Andre. So what are your most high, like, overrank somebody and who is underranked on our team?
All right. So, like, if I wanted to overrate somebody, right, I mean, I would definitely overrank Ronald Darby. Of course, it matters rankings because, like, for the most part, Ronald Darby hasn't really proved to be a consistent player. I mean, he's at 82. And it could be because of the injuries, but it's just like when I see him in the field, it's not really what I see in the stats. I mean, he's ranked as an 82, you know, but I think that as young as he is and the physical gifts that he has as far as, like, speed and supposed physicality, you know, I think he should be doing better than he's doing right now.
Yeah. I mean,
so, like, he's definitely overrated.
He was actually someone I was considering, but because the speed rating affected the wide receivers more, I had to go with, you know, Deshaun and actually Nelson Aguilar. But now that I look at it, to compound the point you just made, Avonte Maddox has a 78 rating.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, because, like, he's a rookie. I mean, because, like, look. I mean, because, like,
no. Avonte Maddox is he's a second-year player now.
Yeah, now, but I'm just saying, like, from what we've seen last season, like, last season he was just drafted.
Yeah.
Last year. So, like, what I'm saying is that, like, we only see his rookie stats right now.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, Avonte Maddox, man, I think that, you know, like, there's so many flash in the pans, man. And, like, just because somebody did phenomenal their first year, doesn't mean that they'll come back the same way.
Oh yeah.
And the reason I say that because offensive coordinators haven't really caught up to what he's doing. He's like a free radical, man.
Mm-hmm.
And if he does good this year, okay, I'll be like, all right, he's solid. But because he came on because of the injuries to the secondary, I can't really place judgment on that. Don't get me wrong, I think he has potential.
Yeah.
Definitely potential. But I can't really make a judgment right now for overrated or underrated. I mean, a player that I would say is overrated for us, would probably be Nigel Bradham.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I say that because for the most part, I mean, we don't emphasize the linebacker position,
Mm-hmm.
and he's looking very good because our defensive line is so good up front, and then we had the safeties good. The secondary, I'm not too fond of, but what I'm thinking is that a lot of teams are going because we're so down, they targeted the secondary. So Nigel Bradham,
Mm-hmm.
And then on top, I just don't think that he's as good as we believe he is.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So, moving on to the next topic, we actually came to the conclusion, and we're pretty sure of this, but it's still open for debate. Is this the best Eagles roster ever assembled? So, Andre, what is your opinion on that?
Well, my opinion on it is so on paper it is. Because don't get me wrong, Chris. I mean, you already know we had the dream team, right?
Yeah.
On paper it was very good, but in actuality it was dude, what are we doing here?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for instance, I would say a couple of things. One, I think we do have the best wide receiver team in modern era. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, and Nelson Aguilar, I think make a great trio. It's probably the best trio that we had in a while. As far as defensive linemen, the best. As far as the cornerback, that's a misnomer. So we really don't know. Safeties.
Well, actually, we know that it's not the best because when we went to the Super Bowl before in 2005,
yeah,
we had Pro Bowlers at every position in the cornerbacks, and the safeties.
Okay.
That was just a rigged secondary.
And that's why I said the cornerback group is not the best. That's why I said it's a misnomer because we don't know.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's why I said that. And then of course the free safeties. I mean, at one time, Dawkins and Michael Lewis were all pros.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's probably the best free safety group that we've had.
Yeah.
Yeah, but cornerbacks, man, I think that we had we had Lito Shepherd. And then we had who was the other guy? Man? It was Lito Shepherd and
Sean Brown.
Yeah, Sean Brown.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, man. I think that they were both undersized as corners, but they did good for us.
Oh yeah.
Because they came here after Bobby Teller and Troy Vincent, and I don't think we had a better cornerback group since then.
Yep.
But I think that overall, I would say offensively, this is the best, but defensively, nah, not really.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jeremiah Trotter, he was definitely a dominant linebacker.
Yeah.
We had him in 2004. And then we had Hollis Thomas. We had Corey Simon. We had a few players that were definitely dominant on that. But I think overall, this is probably the best team that we had in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Or our lifetime since 1990.
Well, I've been a long time born before you, Andre. I'm 90 years old. I remember the beginning, but
oh goddamn.
Yeah.
Chuck Bednarik.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Well, I already said I went to school with Chud Bednarik's grandchildren. So
yeah.
I actually did meet him, but I didn't even know who he was. So that was back when I was really little. So I have to agree. At least mostly, yeah, this is the best team we've had. I actually think our defensive line is way better than in the 2004 time. Because Corey Simon, apparently, I looked up his stats. I don't think he's ever gotten above 9 sacks.
Yeah.
Fletcher Cox can. even as a different tackle. And then Trent Cole, actually, he joined after that year. So he wasn't on that team yet, and he wasn't even good for his first couple of years. But, so we were definitely not as good in the cornerback level unless they just sorted out. But everywhere else, we probably don't have I'd say Carson Wentz is better than Donovan McNabb. But the only other position I can see the 2004 team being better in is just the number one wide receiver. Because T.O. on a broken freaking leg was getting 122 yards.
Look, Chris, I'll be right back, man. I got to take a piss real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. So some of the other great teams we had was the Super Bowl Dick Vermeil Super Bowl team we went to with. We lost against the Raiders. We apparently were just too tired out for that game because he ran them too hard. But that was a really good team. So we topped 400 yards of total offense 4 times in the regular season. We beat the Tom Landry Dallas Cowboys, and we went to the Super Bowl over them. So that was really nice. Some of those conference championship teams from the early 2000s, while they were good, they really didn't have a wide receiver at all. They didn't even have a good number 2 wide receiver. So were they really capable of holding a candle to our team now? Probably not. And then I guess another team that would have great competition was the one that won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Now, Randall Cunningham teams were always great, but for some reason they just couldn't get it done in the playoffs, or obviously the Fog Bowl was bullshit. But 2 years ago in 2017, that team was really built, and Doug Peterson in the beginning of the season was even saying, this is some more teams. This team is more talented than some of the Packers teams I've coached for. So while that team could probably give us a run for our money, I don't know if that team is better than now because our defensive tackles are better. We have better wide receivers. We have a bigger depth at running back, and it seems like they're going to be healthier. Our offensive line, it's pretty much the same, but we got backups now. And then our secondary is just, less injured and stuff. We have so many people to fill in there. So pretty much every level except middle linebacker, I'd say we're better than 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's it for that. We think that this is the best team ever. But there's always things to improve on, Andre. So if we were able to put some of these cornerbacks or any position that we have an excess of and maybe add in a 3rd round or a 4th round pick to any team and we can get one player, who would you target? Who is your dream target to trade for right now?
All right, so okay, can you hear me this?
Yeah.
All right, so okay. So one of my dream targets would definitely be, I would say DeAndre Hopkins. That's one guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because with him on the outside along with Deshaun Jackson, I think that we definitely have the best interior offense. And what I mean by interior offense is that we had the top 2 corners in our division. As far as the NFC goes. Zach Ertz, obviously an all-pro. Dallas Goedert, up and coming in, but has a lot of potential for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that with that wide receiver and, conjunction with our offensive line, I think that our interior offense, or like I say, the essential of our offense would be greatly improved.
Yeah. So this is actually a tough thing for us to figure out because, there are just so little holes on the Eagles team. But this actually might sound weird. The person I would target actually is Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah. So if you think about it, he's kind of like a ball hawk that can cover. He can physically manhandle people like running backs like that. He's got a swagger to him. People say that any player who is outspoken is a cancer. That's not true at all. You need people that are just dogs, man. You need some rough people on your team to push through people that know they're better than other people. And honestly, what has he really done that you can say other than talking, which is a distraction. He's not the reason that Blake Bortles sucked last year and the entire defense just underperformed. And it seems like, Tom Coughlin always seems to have problems with players that are just outspoken or they don't want to be treated like crap. So, I mean, the guy is a sure thing. I think he's still on his rookie contract. And there's been talk about him being moved because Tom Coughlin's just an asshole. So, I mean, if we're trading 2 or 3 cornerbacks away, why not get a shutdown cornerback in return? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's probably who I would target. So, yeah.
Yeah, because I think that a lot of that locker room talk, we said that players are good for the locker room for morale. Mm-hmm. I think that one really comes out when teams are losing,
Exactly.
Exactly, because it's like I think that you have a lot more locker room cancers, if you want to call them, around the league. But because these teams are consistently winning, they accept it.
Yeah.
I don't believe that, for instance, like the Patriots has everyone in line. I mean, especially like if we talk about, a multi-millionaire alpha male athletes in the same locker room. Like, there's no way in hell that they're all choir boys. I think things are silent when, you're winning, but like when you're just losing consistently, and they'll come out more. And I think the reason why it's coming out more with Jaguars is because, like, the Jaguars, they just started winning again for the last 10 years last year. But now it's coming out more because their expectancy is high, but the reality is low. And that's what leads to disappointment.
Yeah, plus, like, they had to play a tougher schedule, like, if you're actually going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, you're playing the harder teams in your league or conference. Plus, they don't play in a slouch of the division anymore. Like, the Texans have been in the playoffs consistently. The Colts now have come back into the playoffs. So, like, they're not playing the Dolphins, Jets, and Bills every year and guaranteeing home field advantage. So,
that's true.
Okay. So, I feel like I had something else. Oh, yeah. There was one other thing. You got to keep in mind, like, look at Jay Ajayi. Everyone said that he was a locker room problem from Miami and shit. Like, the coaches were talking smack. And then we traded for him, and he was, like, the most upstanding guy, like, on the team. Like, one of the best people. So, like, it almost is like the culture, too. If you have some people in there that are good character, like, that's why Brent Selleck is so loved, even to this day, because he was such a great locker room guy. You know what I mean? And that's why things kind of looked like they were falling apart last year, because not everyone was sure that Carson Wentz was a good locker room guy. You know what I mean? We have great characters on our team. Like, I remember when we had Chip Kelly, Jason Peter, Jason checked himself out of a game, and then Fletcher Cox is saying, like, oh, I'm employee 91. Like, these guys, that actually is high character. Like, deciding when enough is enough and to take a stand to do what's right. You know what I mean? So we have smart people.
Yeah, because, like, with Carson, I can understand his frustration last year. Because, like, I mean, he was an MVP candidate late into the season, but then he got hurt in week 13. And, Nick Foles came in. He did a great job. In fact, phenomenal. He won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I can understand why there would be that natural jealousy, man. Because, like, a lot of people, when they're jealous of people who do not affect their position in, like, a company or in life. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, with Carson, I mean, that was his position that he had until he got into circumstances that were beyond his control. And you kind of understand why he was feeling some type of way where going to the season, he just wanted to win. And, he was just feeling a little bitter because, like, this is a team that he could have won with, but he couldn't do it because he was injured. And so you kind of understand why, maybe he feels some type of way. Yeah, I mean, but he owned up to it.
Yeah.
He said, I mean, not all what people were saying about me in the locker room is wrong. I really do feel, I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but he's basically saying that, yeah, I did feel sort of that way that I could have won, but I couldn't do it because I was injured. And, although I was happy for Nick Foles, I was a little bit jealous. And to me, that's understandable.
Yeah, I actually have the perfect analogy for this. So imagine you're in work, right? And you have a coworker who seems like a good guy, and you become great friends. So you tell this coworker, hey, there's this girl I really like, and like I can see myself dating her and marrying her. And so you date this girl, and you're putting in all this extra hard work and going out of your way to like either buy her things, bake her things, make her things like that, take her places, do things that are fun, engage in her and good conversation, everything. Like it's a lot of stuff that goes into dating, which is why a lot of guys, it's not the easiest thing to do because we're thinking of so many things that could be wrong. So like this guy has dated this girl for 8 months. And then after 8 months, she says, oh yeah, by the way, I just decided tonight, I really like your coworker and I'm going to start dating him. And then that guy ends up marrying her like a month later. Yeah. That's exactly the scenario. Like having Nick Foles not in that locker room, even though I don't think Carson Wentz like hates him.
No.
I think that it was almost just like a black cloud that he couldn't just not look at. Now that Nick Foles isn't going to be there, there's no one in his mind internally telling himself that, oh, this guy is here to either take your spot or he did it better than you. Yeah. So actually, that's a great, interesting point that leads up to our next topic, psychological warfare.
Yeah.
One of the things that we recently did was I think during the NFC Championship game and maybe even in the Super Bowl, a lot of our fans went to the hotel of the opposing team and were blowing vuvuzelas all night, making loud noises. It was so like those guys, like Tom Brady apparently came out and asked like, hey, can you guys be quiet? Like I need to go to sleep. And they're like, no, that's the point, dude. Like we're not letting you go to sleep, huh? Right?
Do you want to play rough? Okay.
Okay.
Goes down the field. Like you can say things to opposing players and no one's gonna stop you. You know what I mean? You're gonna mentally just break them. So Andre, when you were playing football, was there anything you saw or did that was like psychological warfare?
Well, I mean, because like for instance, man, when I played football, I only played it at the varsity level in high school. So like there wasn't anything major as far as like, really going extensively. But there's a home team locker room, and then there's also the away team locker room. And there are little things that are really done. Like, for instance, like if the away team was coming here in the winter time, you cut off the heat to their locker room. or like I said, like you'll have chance outside, just like demeaning them. And there are a lot of subtle things that you could do to really disrupt them.
Oh, my God. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just remembered something horrible that happened. When I was in high school, and I hate my high school and majority of the people that were in it because of how they treated me, there was actually this basketball player. He was in 10th grade when I was a senior, and he was really good. I wouldn't say he was either going to college or, going pros or anything like that, but he was obviously the best player on the team. And the opposing team knew this. And I don't know if they deliberately set this up, but now that you're mentioning that, it makes me think that they did. Apparently, they got a girl from the opposing school to, like, go and do some sexual shit with him in our home locker room just, like, one day randomly, like I think the week or a couple weeks before the game or something like that. So, like, the girl went and reported it afterwards, and then he got kicked off the team. So that's some fucked up shit. They straight up like demolished our team because of that. Like, not that I like majority of the people from our school, but that kid didn't deserve that at all. I mean, I didn't even know him. Like, can't wish bad on people you don't really know. So, like, what are some other things that you think maybe our team can do to get an advantage? Maybe not on that level, because that's just fucked up. But, like, what can our team or fans even do to get that edge?
Well, because like for instance, like look, man. I mean, you want to talk about like that's our warfare. So you have a lot of players in the league that they want new contracts, right? A lot of these players are like key players, man. For instance, like with the Dallas Cowboys, there have been reports of Ezekiel Elliott secretly holding out or planning to hold out a training camp. You know what I'm saying? And it's because of the money. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott is a running back. He's going into his fourth year in the league, and running backs don't last too long. So he's looking for a long-term contract, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that, it won't come out officially, but there will be some dancing reports about, us looking for or offering him a long-term guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can actually also see the Cowboys intentionally leaking out bad PR about Ezekiel Elliott to lower his value, which is
exactly
that Deshaun Jackson, it happened to him with Chip Kelly. Like right when Deshaun Jackson was about to be released, there were these reports of like, oh, he threw gang signs.
Gang shit.
He's related to gangs, also the stuff. It's like, dude, you can't control who your goddamn next door neighbor is. Like, if he wanted, like, I'm pretty sure no one would be born in the ghetto if they had a goddamn choice about it. Like, see, let's be honest. Like, we'd all be living in mansions with silver spoons in our mouths. Like, nobody's not going to turn that down. Like,
but see, man, because like Chip Kelly was just a shitty politician.
Oh
right?
yeah, oh yeah,
and like that's what he was. Like when it came to the end of his career,
mm-hmm.
And the reason why he did that was because like he wanted to implement a system, and to implement a system, he wanted players similar to college players who have not proven themselves yet. Mm-hmm. So like Deshaun Jackson was like basically a threat to him. So what he did was that like he wanted to implement a system. He couldn't do that successfully without Deshaun Jackson. So rather than just trade him, one thing that he had to do before he did that was that he had to like, really discredit him, right, as a disciplined NFL player. So to do that, he tried to use where he came from, not what he actually did. I mean, he said, he just alluded to like, he's a gang member.
Yeah.
I said, or he's associated with gang members.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, look, that's what Jawn Jackson did, and not what the people who he grew up with did.
Yeah. Not to mention, like, Deshaun Jackson, you can't occasionally just, like, move your fingers in certain ways. But what Riley Cooper did, let's give him a 5-year contract. Like, the bullshit is just reeking through that guy. Like, Riley Cooper is a racist. Whether he has friends that are minorities or whatever, come on. Like, you can't convince me that he's not. Like,
because Deshaun Jackson swept that shit under the rug. Because, like, Riley Cooper didn't matter as much. I mean, if anything, he wasn't even a marginal player. Mm-hmm. So like, you know what I'm saying? And like he knew that situation with Riley Cooper occurred like almost like contemporaneously with the situation with Deshaun Jackson. Mm-hmm. So what he did, and he did that successfully, was that he swept under the rug,
mm-hmm.
and then once swept it under the rug, he got rid of him. And like nothing was said about that.
Yeah.
Because he already knew that he was on the downside of his career. I mean that's just political bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something else, actually, this is a widely known thing because Lawrence Taylor, the Giants player, has told this like in interviews. But he used to pay prostitutes to go and mess around with the opposing team's running backs all night before the game. So basically, like he was tiring these other running backs out by their legs, hips, even like if they're using their arms or whatever to hold up these girls and shit, and it's going on all night. They're not going to be tired. They are going to be tired. They're not going to have enough sleep. They're just going to be sore or whatever. They're going to be stiff. So like if you look at certain running backs, he said he did it to the Thurman Thomas in the Super Bowl. That like Thurman Thomas actually had terrible Super Bowls 4 years in a row. So like you got to think like maybe he got into it the first time and then every other time he's like, oh, well, like this is what I'm here for or whatever. I just got to do this like shit. So like, I don't know. He probably went into the last Super Bowl thinking, I'm not going to bang this girl. I'm not going to bang this girl. I'm not going to bang this girl. And then the night before the game, he gets a knock on his door. And he's like, shit. Here we go again. So, like, if there are any diehard Eagles fans out there that are willing to take one for the team, I'm not, like, forcing you to have sex with anyone. But if you want to tire out these opposing team players the night before the game, that is phenomenal. And if you explain it in that way, every Eagles fan will forgive you for sleeping with one of these Cowgirls players or Giants players or Patriots or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's another thing we could do. I mean, we already got down the making noise outside of people's apartments and making noise outside of people's hotels, before the game.
Yeah.
Our fans are pretty good at that. So is there anything else like we can do, or hell, like I know talking shit in the game, you really do some research and break down a person by looking at their demons and exposing them or whatever. You know what I mean?
But there's more, man. There's more. I mean, for instance, right?
Yeah.
For instance, like a lot of these players from the opposing teams, they have families that they don't really see too often,
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think the media could do a little bit more. I think that you could really advertise, like, a happy family in front of them. Or, there's a lot of things they could do. So, like, you really wreak on the habit or the chaos that they're going through with their families. Because, like, realistically speaking, these guys only, like, see their families, like, maybe 2 months out of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I guess that you could really just, like, emphasize the importance of family. But, like, look, man, I mean, there's just, like, crazy shit that I think of, but I'm not going to go into it.
Wait, let's get at least one of them. Come on. You can't leave us hanging.
All right, one of them, right?
Yeah.
So, instance, right? You can show kids with cancer.
Huh.
Hey, all right, I'm not going to elaborate. I can't.
Oh, you take them into their locker room before the game or whatever?
Yeah.
I was thinking something actually a little worse. Because, like, if you think about what you're saying, Andre, you're doing those kids a favor. That kid is going to be pumped that he's meeting NFL players and stuff. So it's not like some devious act where you're poisoning their water supply or some shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, we're actually not condoning hurting anyone or hardcore cheating like the Patriots do. We're talking about completely legal methods to just get an advantage in someone else's head. So, I mean, it could even be something like making really funny noises or something, or farting or something like that when you're playing someone. Actually, if you're a quarterback, if I was a quarterback, I'd be, like, yelling shit like, Tom Brady's a loser, like, Tom Brady's a needle dick, like, all sorts of shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, you point at someone like, Von Miller's got a fat ass, like, shit like that. Like, you're not trying to make them mad. You're trying to make the other team laugh. You're trying to get them mentally out of being mad, actually. You're trying to break that Warriors mentality from their head. Sometimes it's even as much as, like, letting a guy up. I mean, actually, there's two ways you can do this. You can reach down and help a guy up and, be an extra friendly, and then maybe they won't be so tough. Or you can reach down, and when they're about to take your hand, oop, and then they like fall back down. So, I mean, you can piss them off, or, I mean, some players play better pissed off. Some players play better when they're happy. It's all about figuring out how to mentally beat your opponent.
I mean, that's true, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it goes a little dark, but I guess that. Yeah.
Well, give us something darker. Come on, you got some shit off your sleeve.
I mean, like, nah, I'm not.
Come on, like,
nah, bro, I can't do it.
This is your past, and it's someone else's future. We're not gonna be doing this. We talk about this stuff, but this is not the stuff we do. So maybe giving a fan or someone out there an idea would be the next great thing that help us win a Super Bowl, Andre. You got to think about it like that.
Like, you got a point there. You got a point there, but it's just like, look, man, when I think about certain things, I'd rather not, like, influence that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you're talking. I know you're talking about families and stuff, so you can be like, "Oh yeah, that daughter looks really good of yours," or whatever.
Oh,
And I want to be clear. I'm not saying daughter as in like younger than 18 years old.
yeah.
Fuck R. Kelly. Fuck Jeffrey Epstein. Fuck Donald Trump. Anyone who, you know, anyone who's thinking about condoning any sort of, child rape or sexual assault or anything like that, like, go fuck yourself. Seriously, like, I've had it with you people. Like, you just bend over backwards to defend the most horrific things ever. You've gone too far now. That's something that's completely unacceptable. You don't deserve to be born. So just, fuck off and shut the hell up. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's my opinion on, any
Yeah.
underage, like, shit that you're thinking about doing, you perverts. Fucking, I know people up in New England do that shit too, probably. Like, if you think about it, look at them. They're all crabby and shit. They can't even appreciate when they win, like, sports champions and shit without attacking each other and stuff. And, like, they have their own, like, cult, whatever, like, up there where, like, the like, athletes and shit, they put them on pedestals and let them get away with whatever. Like, they're not the only ones that do that, too. I mean, like, if you look up stories about some of your favorite NFL players, just look up stories about how people have met them in real life. Some of them are okay. Some of them are really nice. But a lot of them are just terrible people. And I'm not just saying, no, kid, I'm not going to sign your autograph terrible. I mean, like, really breaking the law terrible. And it comes down to, people thinking that they're above that because they're in a small city or they think that they're a superstar or something like that. So we don't condone – we want to be clear. No condoning of any hurting of children. That goes up to age of 18, not 17, 18. No hurting of children. We're not talking about hurting anybody's families on the other team. We don't want any of that. Hell, like, as mad as we get at refs, we don't even want refs really to be, injured or anything like that. So stop with all the violence, stop with all the problems, and we just want to have some clean football with, occasional psychological tricks. Nothing more. No terrible, bad things happening. Just want to make sure we clear that up with our audience. We don't want to give off the wrong impression. And especially with me trying to, coerce some information out of Andre that he's not perfectly willing to share. I just want to clarify he's not plotting anything that's, like, devious, okay? I mean, at least I don't think he is. But, like, Andre is not that guy who's, jumping somebody or hurting anybody. That's not what we're talking about. Don't bring your mind to a dark place.
But all right, man. So that.
We got one last thing to talk about. Ben SImmons just re-signed up with us. He signed his contract. So, Andre, what does this mean? He signed his 5-year rookie Supermax extension.
Well, because I think what that means is that it gives him a lot of security, and it gives him a lot of security among the questioning.
Yep.
And because a lot of people have questioned his jump shot, and with his jump shot, they're saying, look, he could be an all-star, he could be a superstar in this league, but he has that potential. But how can he reach that potential without a jump shot? And he feels a bit insecure about that because you hear reports in practice that he'll try a three-pointer or he'll try a jump shot, but in the games we're not seeing that. And I think that's one thing that he's really insecure about. So I think to reassure him and to also show that we want to work for him more, we signed him to that. And I think that's a good move by us because I think that he can develop that. I think there's something fundamental to every basketball player.
Yeah.
And if he can develop that, he can be, all-time great. Yeah, more than that.
Yeah. People honestly need to look at two things. One, his age. He's 22 years old.
Exactly.
The other thing people need to look at is Giannis Antetokounmpo. That guy didn't have a jump shot. Hell, even Kawhi Leonard, when he came into the league, he couldn't even shoot free throws that good. They trained him. So as long as we've got training people there, you gotta bankroll on Ben Simmons, a generational talent. Not to mention, if you surround him with enough shooters that can get open, and they don't need JJ Redick needed a screen to get open. That was literally an absolute necessity for him to be open. So that means that another player is basically taking himself out of the play to let someone else get open. That's one less player to pass to. We're not really going to have that problem this year because we don't have JJ Redick. So when you see Ben Simmons drive towards the rim, he should either dunk it or he'll have someone open because Josh Richardson is so much better than JJ missing the playoffs Redick. But there's two ways to look at this signing of the contract, the positive and the negative. The positive is obviously if we didn't sign this and he went to restricted free agency, another team could have signed him to a terrible contract that A, inflated our salary cap too high, and also B, was only a 2-year contract, so we didn't have him locked in for as long. Now, we would have had to accept that or say, hey, you're going to take him. But now that we got him for 5 years in the Supermax, that's great news. And that's the good news. The bad news, it means absolutely jack shit that he signed this contract. Look at all the other players that either got traded somewhere or they signed a contract and then a year later they forced their way out. This is the new age of basketball. And whether it's a good thing, whether it's a bad thing, I'm not here to tell you that right this second. I can't really oppose to players wanting to play in situations that are better. For LA, I don't think they're better than us, which is why it hurts so much. But, you got to keep in mind that, people like Ben Simmons, they just really don't come around that often. But, we tanked for this guy. We can't just give him up or let him go after, 2 years if he signed a bad contract. And, or 1 year, look at Paul George. He was on, some rich person's, mansion lawn announcing with Russell Westbrook that he's there for life. And literally a year later, he parlayed his bigger contract into I want to be traded. So he's gone. Kawhi Leonard's gone. Chris Paul signed in for a tiny bit. He's gone. Things don't last. Players go when they want to go. So even signing this contract doesn't mean that, hell, tomorrow he could walk into the office and say, now I want to be traded to the Lakers. So
it didn't used to be like that, man. I think because a lot of players, I think they're becoming more business savvy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm saying in the past, a lot of players they base their team choices off of loyalty, and of course money, but most of loyalty. But when you look at the average NBA player or the average All-Star, they're running themselves a multi-million-dollar business, right?
Yeah.
Off their own brand. And in business, you always go for what will be more lucrative, either short run or long run. Mm-hmm. So, Chris Paul doing that last summer, saying he'll be a Thunder for life.
Oh, that was
just
Paul
him. Paul George.
Yeah.
Paul George. I'm fucking up. Him doing that was just him, expand his brand. But as soon as he found out in the long run, going with Kawhi Leonard would be more lucrative, he abandoned it. And that's how business is. It's there's loyalty and there's other things, and then there's business. Look, I would make more money doing this and that, and it's totally amoral. And so, that's what I think Paul George did, and he was right in that.
Well, plus you got to keep in mind if you look at the more recent Isaiah Thomas, who played through injury, played either the day of or the day after he learned that his sister was murdered and shit.
Yeah.
Balled out for the team, and then they traded him a month or two later. There's no loyalty on the owner's side, and I think that's what's been the problem for so long. A lot of the decisions now are kind of almost in your face, I'm going to do this to get back at you guys for being so assholish.
But it's not
loyalty to the players before. So,
but bro, it's not. I don't think it's about emotion, man. I think it's just the fact that, look, man.
Well, not with cyborg Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah. Yeah, with cyborg Kawhi Leonard. But, like, I don't think it's about any emotion. I think it's just about, like, look, man. Like I said, the NBA players, they're becoming more businessmen and involved in business. So, like, not saying they will say things that sound good, but in reality, they're going to do what's good for the business. You know what I mean? Because, like, how many people, you know, living right now are saying, I'm going to retire for the rest of my life at the age of 35, right?
Yeah.
These are exceptionally, like, physically gifted people, but they still have, you know, things about them or ideas that saying, look, I'm retired at a certain time. I'm stop working for certain people. With these NBA players, like, they realize that their value diminishes substantially after the age of 30.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, it's a business move. I mean, don't get me wrong. You know, I mean, they've been doing this all their lives, but they realize, or they come to a point where they realize, like, look, I got to look out for my future, all right? I'll be in this league until I'm 32. With my health and my status, I'll probably live to the age of 90. What the fuck am I going to do from this, like, 60 years? And that's what they start to look at.
Yep.
Now, it's almost like a premature envision of their mortality. Yeah. Where, like, the average working person, when they get in their 50s and 60s, they're like, okay, I got to look out for the rest of my life till I die. These guys are half that age, and they got to look out for that because that's the thing they've been doing their whole entire life.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah. But
all right. So that's actually all the topics we have for today. If there's any last notes you wanted to add in, Andre, feel free to tell us our sponsors.
Yeah. I mean, because, like, it's sponsor today. So, like, look, man. So, Zimbabwe has been a very good example of inflation going wild. So, like, look, this is an official $100 trillion bill, right?
Well, it's actually too bright to see.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah, we can see it now. Yeah, $100 trillion. Damn.
Yeah, and this is, like, not a joke. This is something that had been going on for the last 10 years in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And, like, so, I mean, it's a byproduct of rampant capitalism with no planning. So I'd like to sponsor that. Like, hey, look, get your $100 trillion bill. You won't be mad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, capitalism, because who really wants to call their society fascism? Like, honestly, like that's politics nowadays. Politics, people will say that the Democrat or whatever, the Republican, I like this kind of government, I like this or whatever.
Yeah.
No, most people are just either anarchists or they're just fascists. Like, they don't want the other way to even be considered. So, like, those type of people, you can't give them the time of day because they're not going to change their mind. So I'd like to dedicate my portion to not wasting your time on anybody who's literally stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
All right.
This is our fucking podcast. We advertise whatever.
Yep.
JawnZone.
JawnZone.
JawnZone, baby.
Thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you later. Peace.
Yep.